back to the Inverted Wanderer. Today for your Inverted Tip Tuesday, we are going to be looking at core stability and really looking at what it means to draw in the ribs or knit in the ribs. So check out the link in my bio if you want to read more about it, but we're going to do some practices today that kind of focus on that. So first, let's look at what is knitting the ribs or drawing in the ribs. So this is best seen when you're from the side. So sometimes what people tend to do is stick out the stomach and stick out the butt, kind of like this. So this is pretty exaggerated. I'm lifting up my arms just so that you can see what's going on in my body. So what happens here is that all the weight is getting dumped down into my low back. And this is where you can get low back pain, is by having this kind of curve in your spine. So knitting in your ribs, let's first start in this posture. Bringing one hand to your tailbone and the other hand right to where your bottom ribs are, which is about where your stomach is. For us ladies, it's right below our breast. So what we're going to do is we're going to push the tailbone down, and when we do that, we notice that our other hand is going to start to knit in. Okay, you can also think belly button in towards your spine as well if pushing the tailbone doesn't make sense. You don't want to exaggerate it and do it in the opposite direction, right? So starting out, right, maybe we walk around like this. We notice our posture, bringing one hand to the low back and the other to our stomach. You're going to slowly start to push your hips down, knitting those ribs in. So that's what it means. It means bringing those ribs into your spine, bringing all of this right here in. Okay, so another way of thinking about it. From here, bringing your hands onto your stomach and then slowly bringing your stomach in. You're going to already notice that your tailbone is going to be pointing down. But when we knit in, we also want to engage our core a little bit so that this is our new posture, which is better on our low back. You won't feel that dumping. You're actually using your core, and it helps with posture. Specifically today, we're going to be looking at how this posture helps with our inversions. Because when we're in inversions, right, it's similar to what I'm doing here. Say I'm coming into a forearm, right? But I'm like this. All the weight is dumping now into my low back. But if I were to knit those ribs in, I now have more stability in my core to keep up, right, in this kind of funky forearm stand, but just to kind of show you what it's like. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing some core strengthening and core stability type workouts and focusing on what it means to draw in, okay? So while we do this, I want you to keep that in mind, drawing in or knitting in your ribs. So the first way to, once we figured out how to do it standing up, next would be coming down to the ground. So coming into a plank is your next best step for figuring out what does it mean to knit in the ribs. So what tends to happen here, right, is we stick our butt down or we bring it too far up. But really, most people tend to stick their butt a little bit too much higher. So the same thing as what we did with standing, tuck that tailbone down, and when we do that, we'll notice that our ribs start to knit in, and we can really start to feel that core turn on. So here, I can kind of feel like, oh, maybe it's in my arms, I don't really feel my core. Okay, my low back is getting a little bit of the brunt, but when I tuck my tailbone down, therefore knitting my ribs in, I start to feel that core engagement. Go ahead and come down. So if you need to, pause the video, play a little bit of what that feels like standing up, and then in more of a yoga asana type pose. So this is a cue that you'll hear a lot in a lot of different asanas, but again, specifically we're looking at inversions today. But let's go ahead and do some of our core strengthening. Excuse me. So the first one, we're going to come onto our knees. Okay, it's a dynamic movement, and we're going to be doing some crunches side to side. Still keep those ribs knitted in. Okay, bringing our hands to our shoulders. We'll inhale, come up, and then exhale, crunch to the right. So avoid pushing out the hips or sinking the hips in, but find that neutral crunch to the right. Inhale up and crunch to the left. So again, keeping those hips over those knees and coming back up. So a side view of what that would look like, right? I'm not pushing my stomach or my butt out. I'm knitting my ribs in towards my spine, inhaling to grow tall, and then my upper body is coming down as I Squeeze the obliques. Come back up and squeeze the other obliques. So you'll notice that my ribs still stay knitted in, my tailbone is still coming down, and I'm doing some crunches side to side. So let's go ahead and do that 5 times. I'll go ahead and face you now. Knees underneath the hips, ribs are knitted in, tailbone is pointing down. Inhale, and exhale, crunch. Inhale up, exhale, crunch. Inhale up, exhale, crunch. Inhale up, exhale, crunch. Inhale up, exhale, right. Inhale up, exhale, left. Inhale up, exhale, right. The last time, make it the best one. Inhale up, and exhale to the left. Inhale back up, and exhale all the way back down, just the way we started. So this next one we're going to be doing is going to be playing a little bit in our Sphinx pose. So coming down into Sphinx, right? So again here, we're doing what we were doing when we were standing, right? Our stomach is pushing out, we're kind of dumping into that low back, which is a little bit of what this pose does, right? However, even though I'm pulling my chest through and it is a back bend, my core is still engaged. So I'm still lifting my belly button just the slightest bit off the ground so I can feel that engagement. But what we're going to be doing here, first I want you to find that, so don't just let your stomach drop, right? Lift up, engage the core just a little bit to protect your low back. And from here, what we're going to do is I want us to knit the ribs in. So knitting the ribs in, right, is going to lift up our midsection. Our knees are down, but it'll lift our hips up. And right here, we can start to feel that core working. Let's hold it for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then roll down, dropping your hips and your stomach, but still keeping that core turned on so that we don't dump into that low back. Let's go ahead and try that 2 more times, okay? So start to engage the core, lift it just a little bit, and then when we're ready, start to knit the ribs in. When we do that, it's gonna lift our hips and our midsection. And hold it for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and slowly lower it all the way down. Again, still engaging the core, that way we protect our low back when we come into this back bend. Let's go ahead and do that 1 more time. So inhale, grow tall, start to engage the belly, lift the belly button up just like half a centimeter off the ground. And then we're ready, inhale, exhale, knit the ribs in, lift the hips, lift the mid body. Hold this for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly come all the way down, making a pillow with your hands. Just breathe it out to relieve any discomfort you might feel in your low back. You can also lift your legs and twist them side to side, because that was a bit of a back bend. Although we were focusing more on using our core than on doing a back bend. And this time coming up, and then now setting up for some side plank holds. Again, bringing that focus on knitting your ribs in so you really start to engage the lower abs and really the whole core. So coming into side plank, or guys, coming into plank first. So come back over here. We're going to be doing this on a forearm plank. So coming onto your forearms, extending your feet back. Again, don't let your hips lift, right? Knit your ribs in towards your spine. We're going to inhale and come over. If you need to, you can keep your hand down on the ground for stability. You can also lower that top leg for stability as well. Or if you'd like, you can try bringing your hand to your hip, lifting that hip up, keeping those ribs in. So what you want to do here is kind of push that chest out, but rather knit it in. Hold it for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly come back down into a plank, keeping those ribs in, setting up for the other side. So you're going to see my back here for a second. Again, you can place that left hand on the ground, you can place that left foot on the ground for stability, or you want to test yourself, bring your hand to your hip, lift your hip, squeeze your ribs in, holding this for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly with control, lower back down to a forearm plank, and lower all the way down, stacking your hands and resting for just a moment. We're going to do that pausing and holding for one more round, and then we're going to do some dynamic movement still in that plank position. So when we're ready, setting up like we did for Sphinx, bringing our elbows underneath our shoulders, start to engage our core. This time, curl our toes, so when we start to knit our ribs in, we come into a forearm plank. Go ahead and roll over to our left side. Again, placing your foot or your arm down, or bringing your hand to your hips. Ribs are knitted in, holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly coming back down, setting up on the other side. So, lifting our hips, ribs are knitted in. Go ahead and hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and lower back onto a forearm plank and lower all the way down, pausing and resting for a moment here. Not staying too long. Let's go ahead and do some dynamic movement. Again, keeping your focus on knitting those ribs in to really engage your core. Curl your toes, go ahead and knit your ribs in. Come over onto our left side. Either stay where you're at, or if you want to try this, lift your arm up, inhale up, exhale, come in like you're giving yourself a hug. Inhale up, exhale, hug. Make sure you're lifting out of that shoulder. Inhale up, exhale, hug. Last one, inhale up, exhale, hug it in, and then come back down to a forearm plank. Whew. And rolling over to the right side. So again, ribs are knitted in, arm reaches up, we inhale, lift, exhale, come in for a hug. Inhale, reach, exhale, hug. Whew. Of course, you can put your foot down if you want. Inhale, reach, exhale, hug. Inhale, last one, and exhale, hug it in. Bring your hand to your hip, come back into a plank, and lower all the way down. Head is resting on your head. Head is resting on your hands. Sometimes when I'm cueing, I get my words all jumbled up, especially when I'm working vigorously, like it's a core workout. Okay. So now, the next thing that we're going to be doing is working just a little bit in Ardha Navasana. You might want to bring a block underneath you if you have one, just to kind of help you if it's your first time doing it. But what we're going to do is we're going to do it 3 times. So starting with your feet up. Not feet up. I'm sorry, let me catch my words. Start with your legs out in front of you. Your hands are up behind your head. You inhale, you're lifting, and then you're going to round a little bit, but still keep those ribs in. Lower down as low as you'd like. And then exhale, come back up. So if you have the block, you can place it right here, and as you roll down, you'll come to right where the block would be, and then lift back up, okay? That's if you need that little bit of stability. Let's go ahead and do that 2 more times. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, curl in the spine. Go ahead and lower. Whoop. If your legs lift up, that's okay. And exhale, come back up. One more time, inhale. Exhale, start to curl your spine down. Keep your ribs still engaged as you lower, maybe a little bit deeper. And then exhale, come up. Woo. Go ahead and shake out those legs, shake out those arms. We're down to our last movement. Okay, so this is going to be another dynamic movement where we're focusing on knitting our ribs in. So, come to lie down with your legs bent, your feet flat on the floor, knees up, hip distance apart. So I'm going to break it down a little bit slower and then we'll do the actual movement, okay? So starting here, I want us to bring our arms up over our heads, shoulders down. We're going to inhale like we're crunching. That's the first move. And then at the same time, shooting our legs, lifting our arms up, and then bowing forward like we're bowing over a beach ball. Hard to see me. Bowing over a beach ball, coming back up, and then slowly rolling down all the way. So you're lying flat on the ground as such, okay? So that's the movement, a little bit more fluid than what I just did there, but let's go ahead and try it. All right, so we're on our back, our legs are bent, our arms are up, reaching up. We inhale. Exhale, crunch in. Inhale, shoot our legs, reach our arms up, and then exhale, round over that beach ball. You can touch your toes, awesome. If not, touching your legs is totally fine. Inhale, come back up, and then rounding, keeping those ribs in, and go ahead and lower all the way down. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Let's say 2 more times. Bending our knees, lifting our arms up, letting go of our shoulders. Inhale. Exhale, round up, crunch. Inhale, shoot the legs, lift the arms, and then exhale, dive over that beach ball. Inhale, back up, and exhale, slowly roll back down. Pausing, setting up for our last time. So make it your best one yet. Really think about pulling those ribs in to engage the lower core, to engage your whole core, to protect your low back in this movement. So reaching our arms up over our heads, shoulders down, feet are flat, knees up towards the sky. Inhale. Exhale, lift the upper body, crunch in. Inhale, shoot the legs, lift the arms, and exhale, round over that beach ball. Inhale, reaching back up, and exhale for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whew. Go ahead and let those arms go. You can shake your legs out, shake your arms out. If you'd like, you can bend your knees and do some side to side. Do a little bit of back bending today. So see how that feels to rock our knees side to side. And then we're ready, rolling over to our right side, pushing ourselves back up, coming to sit in an easy pose. Just pausing for a moment here in this easy pose. Still think knitting my ribs in, my core is still engaged even though I am sitting in easy pose. It's not real intense, but it's a slight like, okay core, okay abs, you're there, I see you, I feel you. Help me with my posture and help me feel less pain in my low back. So as we end this practice, as we end all practice, the light in me salutes and honors the light in all of you. Namaste. So I hope that you enjoyed this core strengthening and stability. So like I said, check out the link in my bio to read more about what stability has to do with inversions and why it's important to practice this short little core stability. So now you are all ready to go to get upside down in your inversions, you're warmed up, you've got the stability in your core. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next time on The Inverted Wanderer. Bye everyone!